Hello and welcome to London's Leicester Square. We're here for a very special screening of Monty Python's Life of Brian. We're also about to embark on a thankfully short journey to discover what we can about the quasi-mythical group of comedians responsible for the movie. And as if that weren't enough, we've also discovered several very rare outtakes which have never before been seen.
Hey, leader!
Stolen from a black bin bag found outside the editing room, these clips illustrate the true genius of the Pythons. Many consider the stuff left outside the movies to be far funnier than that which the public paid to see.
Meow! Meow!
Coming up a bit later on, but first, who and why are Monty Python? The 6 young men that were to become Monty Python met in an internment camp in 1941. They quickly formed a close, almost fraternal bond. We caught up with one founder member, Eric Idle, at his new job as a professional book signer.
I used to sign Michael Palin's books for a living, but finally I found that people didn't want to read them, so I just, I have a very rare unsigned copy of a Michael Palin book, which I'm selling at Sotheby's next week.
We eventually found Michael Palin working as a window cleaner in London. Since the split, he has fallen on hard times.
Oh, I do parties, bar mitzvahs, whatever you like, I'll come along and wash for you. Yeah. Do anything for money, You have to now.
Tallest of the Pythons, John Cleese was recently voted Mayor of Leicester. Despite a number of embezzlement charges, he retains fond memories of his old compadres.
Eric Idle, not quite as much of a bastard as Michael, but running him close. Running him. A bitch would be a better word, yeah.
But that Gilliam's all right. He's American.
Animator Terry Gilliam became a fully fledged member of the group after an undisclosed cash payment.
I remember that he was incredibly tall, very blonde, very athletic, smoked a pipe, and died 10 years ago. That was a sad thing. So it's a fond memory we have of Mike.
In some ways, the most fortunate of the Pythons, the brilliant and handsome Graham Chapman, sadly died in 1989. Subsequent rumours of his resurrection have been strongly denied by the group.
Graham, we threw him out, and he then had to fake his own death.
I'm delighted he's dead.
Terry Jones now lives deep underground in a disused Napoleonic arsenal, dreaming up new projects for the Pythons.
Actually, we were talking about doing a film called the Monty Python's Last Crusade.
Terry Jones tries tremendously hard, really does his best all the time. Yes, it's sad, but it's, one day it'll work for him, one day.
It turned out the group shares a dark secret.
We knew once upon a time that we had this extraordinary chemistry going between us, and now we found what it's all about. We were sextuplets. We were all born in the same sex shop.
It was this genetic familiarity, this prenatal symbiosis, that created one of television's most memorable 45 episodes.
And now...
We came in with a very conscious attitude of not being politically satirical, and there's a bit of social satire in there. And we occasionally mentioned politicians if they had silly names, like Reginald Maudley. We were very consciously non-political.
Now to me, nudge.
Venezuelan beaver cheese?
Not today, sir, no.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. This is a late parrot.
I cut down trees, I skip and jump. I like to press wildflowers. I put on women's clothing and hang around in bars.
I feel that we changed the 20th century, basically. I think, for example, the atom bomb, certainly the Russian success at Stalingrad, the information revolution, and probably the 1953 Cup final would not have been possible without Monty Python.
One of the odd things about Python is that it was never as good as the last thing we did. Like the TV series, the second series, people would say, oh, well, it's quite funny, but not as good as the first. And the third series, well, it's quite funny, but not as good as the second. And then Holy Grail, well, it's all right, but it's not as good as the TV series.
For their first feature film, the Pythons drew upon their personal experiences of medieval Britain.
Together they formed a band whose names and deeds were to be retold throughout the centuries. The Knights of the Round Table. Camelot. It's only a model.
I think when we'd made Holy Grail, which is the first one we made all on our own, we spent about a year editing.
Do you think the scene should have been cut? We were so worried when the boys were writing it, but now we're glad. It's better than some of the previous scenes, I think.
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it!
The first time we showed it to an audience, I had about 200 people, and we showed it, and everybody laughed for about the first 4 minutes, and then silence all the way through.
Now stand aside, worthy adversary.
'Tis but a scratch.
A scratch? Your arm's off.
No, it isn't.
Well, what's that then?
I've heard worse.
You liar!
Come on, you pansy.
Like, when you see it, first of all, you're terribly worried, is it going to be funny?
Yeah.
Then after a while, you think, oh, well, it's all right. Once you've heard somebody else telling the jokes, then you feel, OK, it's OK to laugh at it.
Run away! Run away!
Intoxicated by the loudness and length of the Holy Grail, the Pythons decided to tackle a bigger fish.
Eric had this lovely, silly title about Jesus Christ, Lust for Glory. We all laughed at that. And then we had the idea that Brian was the 13th disciple. He wasn't quite an official disciple, but he was a kind of pal of all the others. And he got invited to all the events like the Last Supper, but he couldn't go to the Last Supper because his wife had asked friends round, and he was going to come on later for a drink. And we thought this was all very funny, and like a lot of Python stuff that we cook up together, we threw it all out, and nobody ever bothered to write it, because what's the fun of writing something that's already been agreed? So we then started writing funny background stuff. Like I remember writing the stoning stuff, which wasn't supposed to be part of the story. It was just sort of funny background.
Now look, no one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand?
I remember that the whole thing for me started to fall into shape. You get a different story from all the Pythons when Michael Palin read out something he'd written about Pontius Pilate. And we said, you know, with this ridiculous accent or voice or whatever you call it, speech impediment. And suddenly that gave us, sort of opened a door to a kind of a story. And the whole thing started to fall into place in a way that, in retrospect, was almost magical.
Now, what is your name, Jew?
Brian, sir.
Brian, eh?
No, Brian.
The little rascal has spirit?
As what, sir?
Spirit?
Yes, he did, sir.
No. Spirits, bravado, a touch of daring do.
Oh, about 11, sir.
The Life of Brian. No, rings no bells with me, I'm afraid.
Wait a minute. Oh, we're supposed to haggle.
Sounds a rather boring film. Is it anything to do with Jedi Knights?
All right, I'll give you 10. That's more like it. 10? Are you trying to insult me? Me, with a poor dying grandmother? 10?
Are there dogs in it, or anything like that? Anything interesting?
He's offering me 14 for this. 15. 17. My last word. I won't take a penny less or strike me dead. 16. Done.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. I can't really remember that far back, but it sounds hilarious.
Crucifixion party. Morning. Now, we will be on show as we go through the town, so let's not let the side down. Keeping a good straight line, 3 lengths between you and the man in front, and a good steady pace. Crosses over your left shoulders, and if you keep your backs hard up against the crossbeam, you'll be there in no time.
Graham was great casting for Brian. He was very, very good as Brian, because he'd cleaned up his act. He'd stopped drinking about 8 months before, and he was in great physical shape, which pissed us all off, because he was in better shape than we all were, and we hadn't been alcoholics.
What's interesting about Life of Brian is that it's not about belief. It's about organised religion. It's about what happens when any system of belief gets organised and then the rot starts to set in. Everybody starts disagreeing, and if they disagree strongly enough, they'll start killing each other and torturing each other, you know.
Lay off! This is the Messiah, the chosen one! No, he's not! An unbeliever! Persecute! Kill the heretic!
The
one of the things that everyone remembers, I think, from the movie is the fuss it caused at the time, especially in America. Here you are dealing with a subject which many consider perhaps not the correct subject for a comedy.
In fact, the first group to object to the film was the New York Rabbinical Society. It was some New York Jews complaining about it.
The Lutherans and an Anglican church, and we were also condemned by the Catholics, and we were condemned by 2 out of the 3 main Jewish denominations. And I remember Eric said that we had performed the very useful task of bringing these very godly people together for the first time in history.
Almost immediately upon release, Life of Brian was denounced by most Western religions and 9 out of 10 dental hygienists.
I can laugh at jokes about the church, about the institution. I think the problem for me is when you actually start getting effectively at Christ himself.
Well, who cured you? Jesus did, sir. I was hopping along, minding my own business. All of a sudden, up he comes, cures me. 1 minute I'm a leper with the trade, next minute my livelihood's gone. Not so much as a by your leave. You're cured, mate. Bloody do-gooder.
The idea, somebody said to me that the Python team said it was heresy, not blasphemy. I don't buy.
All right, I am the Messiah! He is the Messiah! Now, fuck off!
No, I would ban it. I would ban it because obviously I get royalties. And the more people that ban it, the more stuff there'll be about it in the press, and more people go to see it. So I would ban it.
Coming up in part 2, the now infamous Lost Brian outtakes. Welcome back. And now the never ever seen by anyone ever, including the Pythons, Lost outtakes.
I love sheep.
So do I. Terrific animals, terrific.
No trouble?
No trouble.
Well, except at shearing. They can play up a bit then, can't they? Oh, yeah. But I like that sort of little burst of frenzy they have then, you know. I like it when they get a little bit angry. Shows they're human. Oh, yeah, I'm not saying I dislike them at shearing, you know, but they can be a bit of a handful, can't they? Well, so would you be. You've had a great pair of scissors snipping away while someone holds your back legs apart. You wriggle a bit, you kick up a bit of a fuss. Yeah, I'm not just saying I expect them to stand around in the fields and nibble the grass and look a bit pretty. I'm not saying that.
Oh, but they are pretty, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at that one over there against the sky. The white of the coat and the little black face against the twinkling stars beyond.
Yeah. Oh, terrific. Terrific animals.
And the little lambs in springtime.
Oh, the lambs, eh? Now you're talking.
We suppose we're seeing the angel descending, you see, in that light, and casting the... and he's actually visiting the other shepherds, you see.
It's a lovely idea, so we're focused on the wrong group, but why did you not leave it in the film?
It didn't get a lot of reaction. This seemed to get the film off to too slow a start.
Do you think the sheep were upset to be left on the cutting room floor?
I think so. I think we shouldn't have shown it to sheep. That was the problem. If we'd got humans in the audience, we might have been all right.
Shh! I heard something over there.
Wolves?
Could be.
Where?
Over there.
Right. Take that, you buggers!
Oh! That's not a wolf. Gordon Bennett.
What did you do that for? Oh, I thought he was a wolf. You hit him right in the face. Well, he shouldn't come snooping round like that. You wait till you hear what we've just seen. The most incredible thing's just happened. We were on the hillside over there when this amazing...
Don't tell him from my bloody nose!
Can't I tell them about the amazing...
No!
Well, they said we were to tell everybody!
Not people who break your bloody nose, come on!
Where are you going, Bethlehem?
Nowhere, good night.
That's right. Leave your sheep. Leave them to the wolves. Call yourself shepherds. You're a disgrace to the profession.
What a rotten thing to do. To go and leave those little helpless furry bundles alone on the hillside.
So they can go down Bethlehem and get drunk. Is it AD yet? 1:15. It was a great shame when that didn't get in the film because, you know, it had a nice, lovely feel to it, and there we were out in Tunisia one starry night doing that, and I thought, at that time, I thought, you know, things are going to go all right, we'll be successful, but they are, you know.
I remember the long and boring shepherd scene, which we fought very hard to cut. Has you managed to find that and put that back in, have you? Jolly good.
The idea with Pilate's wife was that they thought they were going to sort of capture this soft target and hold her to ransom, and that Pilate would then have to do everything they dictated. And then we thought it was funny if she was absolutely huge and very powerful, and more than any of them could handle.
from the meeting of the group, you go straight into the fight. And it seemed almost with the capturing of Pilate's wife, that was almost a diversion. And you went off and you had a bit of the fight, then you go off on that diversion, then you come back and have more fight, and it just seemed, things seemed to go on too long.
Sort of an unnecessary cul-de-sac to go down.
Yeah.
But a funny one. And it's always great to see enormous breasts on screen. one of my favourite groups in the movie are the Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Headed by Otto, and that's the scene that I was most keen to see, which
yeah.
we're gonna look at now.
Hail, leader! What? Oh, I'm so sorry. Have you seen the new leader? The what? The new leader. I wish to find him and hail him. Hail, leader! See? Who are you? My name is Otto.
Oh, Otto. Well, I'm not sure.
Oh, I grow so impatient, you know, to see the leader that has been promised our people for centuries. The leader who will save Israel by ridding it of the scum of non-Jewish people, making it pure. No foreigners, no riffraff, no gypsies.
Shh, Otto!
What, the leader? Hey, leader!
No, it's dangerous.
Oh, danger? There's no danger. Man! Impressive, eh?
Yes.
Oh, yes. We are a thoroughly trained suicide squad.
Oh.
Oh, yes, we can commit suicide within 20 seconds.
20 seconds?
You don't believe me?
Yes.
I think you question me.
No.
It was a very difficult decision because it was a funny scene, and it actually made the end sequence funnier, because when you had on the cross, when you see Otto's men arriving and then committing suicide in front of the squad, in front of the cross, it's funnier when you've seen the scene.
Yeah.
So it was, to cut it was really like drawing teeth, actually, because it lessened the ending.
See?
Yes.
I think now you believe me, yes?
Yes, very impressive.
I think now I prove it to you, huh?
Yes.
All dead?
No, I mean, it must have been better, because it was Eric's main piece that he'd written, and it was a genuinely funny bit. But it's like, you know, in the end you make sacrifices for the better of the group.
After Brian's arrest, his girlfriend rushes to send the sign that is the sign to Otto.
Going. There's meant to be pigeons flying off. But this is John. Wonderful performance from John here. This was all shot in Tatooine, which is the name of the planet in Star Wars.
Did they shoot in the same area?
They shot in the same area, and they took the name from the town.
Men, our time has come. Our leader calls. Men, forward! Oh, my God.
Otto and his Suicide Squad now only appear in the crucifixion scene.
Shot of me looking or something, so I revoiced it saying, "Oh, it's Otto the Suicide Squad" or something, desperately explaining who they were, you know.
The Indian People's Front! The Indian People's Front!
I think we then did a top shot of them in Oxshott sandpits down in Surrey, just to fill in.
We are the Indian People's Front! Crack Suicide Squad! Suicide Squad! Attack! That showed them, huh?
Is it much harder, the fact that you're dealing with a bunch of other very strong-minded individuals with great comic sense themselves, for you then to make, presumably you made the final decision as to what stayed in?
Well, with Life of Brian, I was still trying to keep everybody making decisions, trying to keep everybody going in, and I mean, apart from, I mean, like with Cutting Otto, I mean, I suppose I decided to do it, but then I would have sort of said to everyone, I would have rung Eric up and said, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry, but I think we've got to cut it," and he would have said, "Oh, you bastard," oh, right, something like that. By the time we did Meaning of Life, nobody could be bothered really, you know, so they wouldn't turn up for sort of sessions and things.
I sort of walked away and did my own little film doing The Meaning of Life. I had the Crimson Permanent Assurance. I had my own soundstage and my own crew, so I didn't have to play with the others.
The Meaning of Life was brilliant, flawed and ultimately too expensive for us to show. For the Pythons, it marked the end of the long wide road and the beginning of several narrow, slightly twistier paths which they had to follow separately. Yet now, 30 years later on, here in the fashionable heart of London's West End, those paths cross again. And waiting at the crossroads, they find Brian and me. For the first time in nearly 8 weeks, the Pythons, minus Eric Idle, came together for this once-in-a-lunchtime event. And the excitement was palpable. But then, of course, came lunch.
When we've gone on talking for a long time, you'll make some vague gesture and we will just leave the stage, still talking, and leave you behind to say just what you say.
You should just go on with introduce the film and we'll just generally
talk over the film.
You could even talk at the beginning of the movie, might be nice.
Jonathan asked the audience, are there any questions? Sit up.
Before we start the film, the guys have agreed to take a couple of questions from the audience. It's a rare opportunity, so does anyone have a question for any or all of the group?
To get paid for making it?
Let me rephrase that. He wanted to know, what's your favourite moment in the film?
I think my favourite moment was when I was playing the hermit in the cave. I got there at the beard I can't remember what the film is.
20, 30 years later.
I think it was just because we're going to do a real film. And I think
the other thing that I've always been very, very fond
What do I think of the film? The film is very, very good.
Michael Palin is the man.
I think it's the funniest film ever made.
And if I see him in it, I'm going to just leap on him like a little monkey and kiss him.
Well, the film was wonderful, great, gorgeous. I only fell asleep at a very short moment, just towards the beginning.
And not in a gay way, in a kind of man who loves another man kind of way.
But I have nothing to say yet.
So well done.
I'd just like to say thank you to Leicester for electing me mayor, and I hope to be able to discharge my responsibilities in a satisfactory way. Thank you.
I sometimes regret not going into the church, but that was it. It was locked.